Some time back, a woman in Zimbabwe was awarded a tune of 650,000 US dollars after she was separated from her husband. But the catch is, she was not married to this person, they were just cohabitating. Welcome and thank you for clicking on this video, and I urge you to stay to the end because today I am with one of Kenya's most notable public educators, a professor of the University of Nairobi. Herman Manyora is with me today and he's going to help me understand the question that has been in the lips of many. Why is it more and more people in Africa and in Kenya are opting to cohabitate with their partners instead of going the straight and direct way of marriage? More people, especially young people of these new generations, are hoping to move in with their partners and take it from there instead of just, taking the vows, exchanging their vows in the normal, traditional, nuptial way. So, Prof, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And today I would like to know, Prof, cohabitating, which is the operational term for people who move together without getting married with the intent of being husband and wife. Cohabitating. Is it killing marriage or is it helping the situation of marriage here in the country, in Africa, in the whole world? Well, my name is Waris Kimathi and this is Let's Talk Love KE. Welcome and take the ride with us to the end in this very intriguing and what I promise to be very, very touching discussion. Come on, let's go. Prof.
Yes.
Tell me, many young people, many people my age, I'm in my mid-20s, Prof. Many people my age have already gotten into the marriage where I call my friends from the village and they tell me, nimeoa already, and they don't go to church. Many of them don't go to church. And many reasons have been cited for this. Many say marriage is ridiculously expensive. Others say there's no point of that. If you love someone, move in. Others even go ahead to say that marriage is not African at all.
How can marriage not be African? Marriage is the most African thing. What you could be saying by marriage, what you could perhaps mean, would be the church for Christians. That's a new thing. That's not how we married. We all had our traditional forms of marriage. So what is new and what is foreign is the church wedding. And truth be said, out of 10, even I dare say 100 marriages in the country, how many are church weddings?
Not many, Prof?
Yeah, very few. Very few. So people love each other. They move in, call it a marriage, and some perform traditional rites or rituals, customary marriage, if you wish. That is the majority.
Is it bad because you said call it a marriage? Does it mean you don't approve?
You know, we are in a modern world where some things have to be formalized. So if you have your daughter, you are happy she's found a nice man, perhaps a little handsome, even with some little money, and therefore your daughter will be comfortable. Surely you'll be a little more comfortable if the union was kind of one formal.
Yeah, it's
so
you.
The formal marriage comes with some form of guarantees and protection.
Who is being protected from who?
You say, if people differed a few years down the line, somebody can kick you out of the home. And if, say, for example, you were not quite properly married, there are certain problems you could encounter.
Prof, are you saying the African way of marriage was not secure?
It was secure.
That it wasn't binding?
It was secure within the context of the African marriage. Because when you married somebody's daughter, she didn't belong to you. She belonged to the family. She belonged to the community. And you could not treat her the way you wanted. Same way cannot be said in Nairobi. You get somebody's daughter, bring her to your apartment or your house in Nairobi. 1 year, 3 years down the line, you kick her down the stairs.
Yes, that's the way. But no,
that's what we are saying. She will need some form of protection. Just like the man also will need some form of protection. And in fact, there are also other demands, like where you work, for your spouse and the children to get insurance, medical cover. They need to be part of you formally. So marriage then becomes that institution that introduces your wife to your worker, to your husband or your wife, to your employer, to your insurance company, and stuff like that. Yeah.
And a whole lot of other legal issues.
Yes, yes.
That
ownership of property.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Prof, what's interesting is you're saying, what I hear you say is that the Christian way of marriage, which is been merged with the state and everything else, is stronger than the old customary ways. That is what I hear. Maybe it's not what you're saying.
You didn't hear me right.
Yes, that's what I hear.
If you look at church history, if you look at the history of Christianity, there were times for many centuries where your very existence was defined by the church. In other words, if the church didn't put its hand on you as a child, you didn't exist. If you died and the church didn't say you have died and buried, you have not died. If you married and the church didn't sanction that marriage, you are not married.
The church was the state?
The church was even stronger than the state. Actually, the state came in to do some of the things the church used to do, slowly, one after the other. All these things were done by the church. Then the state began coming in. So the Western world has that tradition. Okay? So for us, we had our own traditional ways of marriage. Now, because we are now living in a confused state, sometimes you habitate, sometimes you go to a church wedding, sometimes you go to the registrar of marriage, and there's all sorts of confusion.
Allow me to backtrack you a little bit. Well, you are watching Let's Talk Love Kenya here with Professor Herman Manyora, one of the most notable public educators here in Kenya, and we're asking the question of cohabitating, moving in with someone with the intention of being husband and wife, yet you were not married. Remember, you can always tell us what you think about this issue, your experience, your situation. Are you cohabitating? Are you married? Do you support it? Write down in the comments and tell us what you think as the show goes on. Coming back to you, Prof. Earlier, when I asked you about why formal weddings or formal marriage that has been formalized by, say, a preacher and there's a church thing and everything, why you prefer that, you said, as a father, it makes you feel like you've given your daughter, to someone safe, someone who is reliable. You will care about your daughter, but that's just one perspective. And new age knowledge today, the women of today, with the rise of movements like feminism and all these kinds of equality, say that marriage is no longer about the dad. It's no longer about you handing out, which, by the way, my generation sees as selling. It's like you're selling her. So a lot of new age, especially in Africa, where young people are the majority, there's this new kind of wisdom, I don't know what you make of it, that argues that marriage is no longer about the man who's giving out the daughter, but it's now an agreement, so to speak, between the man and the woman, or if you're progressive, between a man and a man, as it happens today.
I think we could get confused here.
So someone would argue the dad is no longer in the picture in the institution of marriage.
It's fine. The world is changing. We are being aged out, and we have no problem with that. The important thing is, do these two people love themselves, each other? So if you love somebody and they love you, and somebody wants to stop you, that's another story. You are perhaps referring to parents who, for whatever reason, they are rich and you are bringing a poor girl, they don't like her, or you are a Muslim and you are bringing a Christian girl and they don't love her, they don't like that. That's a different story. But if it is just you and you are a person, you love each other, what is my role there? My role there is just to come and take tea during the wedding. It's a very simple role.
But won't you be able to see?
I'm just feeling proud.
Yeah.
The parents feel proud from every milestone the children achieve. When you pass your exams, your parents are happy. When you get a good job, your parents are happy. When you get a spouse, those are milestones that make parenthood worth it. It's what makes parents happy. It's not so, but unless a parent is standing between you and your lover, that's a different story. That's a discussion for another day.
Maybe it's not very different.
If there are people who want to stop their daughters from marrying somebody because they are poor,
yeah,
that's a different conversation.
Because they are poor.
Yeah, that's a different conversation.
All right.
Which we can have. But just parents feeling proud by walking their daughter in church during. What is that? That's a very simple thing.
Let me ask you, Prof. Often you see parents, fathers and mothers say that yes, I see you've found somebody, but I do not approve of that person. Yes. How often is the dad, how often is the mother wrong or right on telling the partner that you've made the wrong choice?
You know, it depends, and the circumstances are always important to look at. Let's say in the village. In a setup of a village, a true, natural village, traditional setting. You want to marry a daughter from a certain home. And your parents know that family. They know the chaos in that family. They know the problem in that family. And they told you, I don't think you can marry from that family. That's a different story. That you must listen to. But if your parents doesn't want you to marry merely because they feel the girl you are marrying is from low class, that's another conversation. If they are a Muslim and they insist you can't bring that beautiful Christian girl to your home, that's a different conversation. But you know your parents have seen more days than you.
They have.
They know a lot of things. Let me tell you this. I have seen people who are advised not to do certain things and they ignore the parents. But they come back calling and knocking and crying.
Do parents always know that this person is going to come back?
They can know.
The wisdom of age, is it all knowing?
At our age, we know one or two things. I can advise my son. This, to me, doesn't appear to be somebody you can live with. If I have reasons. He may choose to ignore me. But more often than not, they find out the hard way that kumbe mzee aliona kile kitu means. You see, when you get a girl, you are taken in by the beauty, the shape, figure nice, speaks good English. But others see beyond the good English she's speaking.
There's something beyond the shape and the figure
and the beauty and
grammar.
Minji, all that. They can see beyond that.
Minji.
Yeah. And maybe, there's something else. Someone all can figure out if you are being driven by love or lust.
There's a difference?
Or cheap considerations. I can see this man, this boy of mine, doesn't even, there's no love. What is bringing them together is not even love. This girl thinks there's a lot of money in my family. That's why and we can see. Also, we can advise. But
is it because you've been there, done that?
Of course, we've been there, we know. We've lived long enough to see.
So, Prof, while we circle back to where we started,
yes.
If your son, Prof, being a father, and being a very good one at that, I know,
yes.
If your son comes home today and is one of these Generation Z people,
yes.
those of us born in 2000s,
yes.
and tells you, I am not in favor of a church wedding. Matter of fact, I'm not in favor of that kind of official marriage at all with this person. I just like to move in with them because, as I said, young people are not so sure they want to commit for a lifetime. So what would you say, Prof? What would you advise?
If they said that because they were informing me, I'll say fine or not. But if they said that because they were seeking my opinion, I'll give them my opinion. I, for one, I don't really...
Would you accept it if it was your father?
No,
of course, you have jurisdiction if it's your son.
I'm saying it's not a question of me accepting. I'm not the one marrying. It's my son who will be marrying. What I'm saying is, what is your problem? There are people like me who are not very good with the crowds. Everybody's attention on you in a wedding. I wouldn't go through it myself. And I wouldn't bother if you didn't want to go through it. So, but do you still want to have a formal marriage? Why then don't go where, what you used to call it, DC, which is at the AG's chamber? It's very simple. You just go there. And
you say they do it a lot in America. They go to Las Vegas to get married.
That's just marriage. You go to the registrar.
Over the weekend.
Yeah, because it will be a good idea to live with somebody's daughter in an arrangement that has some legs on which it is standing. You get it? Even in the traditional sense, when I was growing up, you got a girl into your home. After some times, your parents could see this was not just a passerby. This seems to be a girl who has come to stay. But this girl must be coming from people. This is somebody's daughter. They will make an arrangement in a ceremony to go there.
So cohabitating is not new then in Africa?
It's not quite new, but you see, Excuse me. You see, there were ways we did it traditionally. When the white man came, we got sort of disorganized and disoriented. So we are neither there nor here. And that's why you see a majority of marriages today are not formalized. In fact, there's a law that was passed that required of people in this country within a specific time to ensure their marriages are formal. Nobody has listened to it.
Magufuli did that.
Yeah.
He went
Even here,
after
there's a law
everyone
here.
without a
There is a law in
certificate.
this country.
No one bothers.
Nobody bothered.
What if people are scared? Because you see, people, men especially, Prof, feel that the law is slanted towards women in situations of divorce. I was reading something the other day that says over 90% of all divorces in the world are initiated by women. And the argument from the women's side is that marriage can be unbearable for women. But then men would argue that this is not favorable. Going into this union where the government
not
is
run away
involved,
because-
you're going to take half of my property, take my kids.
No.
Men feel
You will not run away from
it's
that.
a sour deal.
In this country, you will not escape responsibility merely because you did not have a formal wedding.
You have to.
No. You cannot escape responsibility. You can't, because the law in this country is clear. All a woman will need to do is to prove that you stay together in an arrangement which, for all intents and purposes, can be construed to mean marriage. That's all. That's the law in this country. So whether you are legally married or not,
Whether you kidney or dekni.
no, it doesn't matter so long as the woman can prove this guy and I have been staying like man and wife. That's enough, and you can't escape. And in terms of children, the law again is clear. Whether they are out of a marriage or not, you have responsibility. So what is it you are escaping by not formalizing your marriage? Absolutely nothing. And nobody is escaping that. What is happening is societies do things which have some force. You know, something, not compelling you to do, but it's like the in thing. It's how things are done. So in this country, we have not reached that point to say, this is how marriages are supposed to be done. It's not part of our culture now, that you get somebody's daughter, you enter into a formal arrangement. No. So we have let boys and girls to their own design, which in my thinking may not be a very good thing to do.
All right.
We need to have young men involve their parents a bit, and then also get their marriages kind of formal, so that it's not love alone. Love is good, but there are times when love may not be enough, and there are challenges in marriages which may get to a point where you need your father to come in, your mother to come in, your sister. How do they now come in? If you married in Nairobi 10 years ago, you never been involved with them. You've taken your wife home only once in those 10 years. How do they come into your life now that there are problems and challenges?
Enough said. Right there, folks, you've heard it. Professor Herman Manyora, the professor of the University of Nairobi and one of the most notable public educators here in Kenya, talking about the intrigues of cohabitating and marriage. Remember, you can always come into this channel every time and find us with a new, fresh idea, a new, fresh discussion on an issue that affects you. Remember to subscribe. Remember to subscribe, because every day we come in with something new. Every day we come up with new discussions, of course, here with Prof, to help you understand and navigate the intrigues of life. Until next time, my name is Kimathi. Stay tuned.
Let's get together and feel alright. Hear the children crying. Hear the children crying. Saying thanks and praise to the Lord.